What's up, Sparrows? It's your girl Kim back with another weight loss surgery video. I've missed y'all. I just recovered from a 2-week fibromyalgia flare, so I'm glad to be back and making videos because fibro is not so fun. But today I wanted to talk about your diet after gastric sleeve surgery, specifically week 3. Now, week 3 is kind of fun because you finally get to add some texture into your meals. Now, what kind of texture am I talking about? Well, let me read from my list of what you're allowed to eat. You can eat hot and cold cereals. Of course, don't go eating the Fruit Loops. You want to eat, low sugar cereals. You want to try oatmeal, cream of wheat, things like that. You can eat frozen or canned vegetables. You can eat canned fruit. You can even eat eggs, mashed potatoes. You can eat crackers, whole wheat. You can eat cottage cheese. Of course, you can have refried beans. You can have reduced fat cheese, hummus, blenderized chicken noodle soup. And of course, you can also have anything that you are allowed to eat during the first 2 weeks. So, I think my allergies are kicking in, so forgive me if I sniffle a bit through this video. But let's talk about this phase, which is, we'll call it week 3. It's also considered the soft and mushy food phase, semi-solid. But in week 3, now this is where the fun started for me. And when I say fun, I'm being sarcastic. Now, I don't want to scare you, but I want to be truthful. So let's talk about some of the issues that I had. So my first meal on week 3 was cottage cheese with, I think, 1 or 2 crackers. Now, I'm not a huge cottage cheese fan, but it's got a lot of protein in it. So my first bite, I swallowed it. Yes, I chewed it. Because, yes, you do even have to chew on the mushy food phase. I chewed it. And as I swallowed it, it felt like it was rocks going down my tubes. It felt like rocks. And when it got to my stomach, it felt like rocks tumbling around in there with some acid swirling around. Now, keep in mind, I was on an acid reducer at this time, so I really shouldn't have had all the feelings of acid. So the first meal I had, I was very disappointed. I'm like, oh God, can I just not be a problem child for once? Because it seems like anytime there's anything that can remotely go wrong, like if I get prescribed a new medication and there's side effects that only happen to like under 1% of the population, I guarantee you it's going to happen to me. It's just the way it works. My body's sensitive. But I'm like, okay, so apparently I'm going to be a problem child. But then I psych myself up and I'm like, okay, it's the first meal. Um, let's give it another try. So my next meal was a poached egg that was, of course, moist. I made it soft and I found out my taste buds changed and I took one bite of that poached egg and I had to spit it out. I could not stand the taste of eggs. I didn't even like the smell. Now, eggs, do they smell when they're cooking? Apparently they do because I didn't like the smell. So eggs were a no-go. So I spit that out. So I'm trying to think what my next meal might have been. Oh, it was mashed potatoes that were whipped that I made. They were moist. They weren't too chunky. And I went through the motions of chewing that and I swallowed it and it felt like it got stuck in my chest. You know that feeling of you've maybe taken a bite that's too big and you didn't chew it enough and it gets stuck and you're like, is it going to go down? That's what it felt like. And then it started to feel like rocks again. So I'm like, okay, something's going on. This is not good. So after 2, 3 days of this, of experimenting, um, that rock feeling was only happening with foods with any texture. So I could drink a protein shake, no problem. I could have Greek yogurt, no problem. But if I ventured out and had anything with texture, like I even tried baked beans, which I love, oh my God. Who would even think that something like baked beans would hurt so much? Now, like I said, I don't want to scare you. And, you know, more than likely, you're going to be able to start this phase and you're not going to have any issues. But I'm just telling you my experience because that's what this video is. It's about, you know, talking to you. So maybe one of you will have a similar problem and you watch this video and you'll be like, oh, okay, so it's maybe not abnormal. So after a couple days of that, I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I called my surgeon's office and I went in and they're like, what's going on? Are you chewing? Is the food moist enough? Yes, yes, yes. It feels like rocks, yada, yada, yada. And what they did was they increased my omeprazole up another dosage strength. And I was already taking it twice a day, but they increased the dosage strength. And they also recommended that I have an endoscopy because they were thinking, okay, well, are there any tears in there? Anything like that from where the surgical line is. So, oh joy, I get to have an endoscopy. Yay, me. So, let me tell you, of course, like everybody else, I was nervous about the endoscopy, but the best part is they knock you out for it. So, you get a good sleep and you wake up and it's over. And of course, since they have to shove a tube down your throat, when you wake up, you've got a sore throat and you feel dry and all of that. But um, at least you're asleep and you're not awake. So I had the endoscopy. Turns out I didn't have any surgical line tears. What they did see was a bunch of acid. I didn't have any ulcers or anything like that, just acid. And also, like my surgeon said, because I have autoimmune diseases, I'm prone to inflammation. So, where they did the surgery, they did, of course, see inflammation. Now, inflammation is normal, but mine was kind of lingering on. So, that's why I was having problems um, with those foods. So, after they increased my omeprazole, and I tried it again. It still hurt, but it wasn't as bad. Now, and this is what's important. Think about it. You've just had the majority of your stomach cut and then sewn back together. And now you're putting texturized food in there and it's got to work and break it down and all of that fun stuff. Of course, there's going to be some discomfort. But here's what I did. I kept on going with each meal that I tried. In other words, I tried that cottage cheese again and it got better. I made sure I chewed it properly and I ate slower and it got better. Each time I got better to where it was just discomfort. It wasn't pain. So a combination of, I guess, my stomach adapting to what was going on, a combination of the increased omeprazole, and just me slowing down. Now, I've always been, I guess, a fast eater. Definitely not a slow eater, and that's something I really had to work on. And I also had to be very mindful about chewing. Now, even though it's just cottage cheese or whatever, you still need to chew it a bit. But let's talk about when you try your first cracker after surgery. Now, I saved a piece of my protein bar. I'm going to show you how you need to chew that cracker. So keep watching. You won't believe how you really need to chew this. And most people don't know this. So I'm going to take a small bite. Yummy cracker, we'll pretend that's that. Still chewing. It's almost like liquid in my mouth. And once it reaches that point, now you can swallow. It may seem like excessive chewing, but it's not. Especially in the beginning, you really have to break down that food in your mouth to make the job easier for your stomach. Now, of course, I was happy that the endoscopy didn't turn up anything, but I wasn't happy that, of course, it was painful. And of course, you go through the thing in your mind like, oh my God, what did I do? Why do I have to suffer? Why do I have this stupid surgery? Blah, blah, blah. But then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm still losing weight and I'm getting healthier and this is temporary. And I've probably talked about this in other videos, but let me just remind you, if you're going through any discomfort right after surgery, remember it's only temporary. And if it ends up not being temporary, there's something your doctor can do to help you. Reach out for help, which is what I did. So I was just one of those people who took a little bit longer to heal. And when I do the video about the stage, the next stage of eating, which is, let's see, what are we calling this? When the next stage of eating, they're calling it moist meats or semi-solid, self-mushy. We'll get to that on another video, but it was also similar. I had some difficulty with there, and in the next video I'll give you some tips also. But I just want you to know that you really, in this phase, since you're putting textured food into your body, you need to really make sure that you chew it and that you slow down so you don't fill yourself up fast. And if you have to have an endoscopy, it's really not a big deal. The worst part is the little bit of sore throat afterwards. And I was glad that I had it done. Better safe than sorry. So, there you have it. And remember, you can't scoff your food either. And there was also something else I was going to, oh, yes. If you're, I don't know, depending on what stage you're in, but balance bars are one of my preferred protein bars. They have 15 grams of protein in them. I buy them in multi-packs off Amazon, and I'll link to them. But with the 15 grams of protein, they're nice because some protein bars only have like 7 or 8 grams, but these have 15. They're a little sweet, but Balance also makes a fruit and yogurt one and a blueberry one that's not as sweet. So if cookie dough isn't your thing, I mean, you need to come talk to me because hello, cookie dough. But no, seriously, if cookie dough isn't your thing, there are other flavors. Just make sure you read the ingredients to double check to see if there's anything that you might be allergic to. Some protein bars use stevia instead of sucralose or something else. Stevia is actually part of the ragweed family, and guess who's allergic to ragweed? This girl. So I cannot have stevia. If I have a product with stevia in it, I know right away because I break out in a rash. It's not fun. See, I told you I was complicated. But anyway, so if you have any questions, it's that protein bar still stuck in the throat. By the way, I think if I remember, you can get back to coffee and green tea. I want to say week 3 or 4, I was okay. Because that was one of the things I really missed was tea and coffee. But you'll get there. So if you have any questions, let me know, and hopefully I will get my next video up soon. So I appreciate you watching, and please, please, please hit that subscribe button. I know people are watching, but show YouTube that my channel matters. Let's help other people out there who've had gastric sleeve or are considering it. And the more subscribers you have, of course, the more reach you have, and the more YouTube will show my videos. So this isn't about, making money. This is about helping people. And just like with my MS journey, it can be lonely. My fibro journey, it can be lonely, and you can feel isolated, and I don't want anybody to feel like that. That's why I do these videos. So I hope it helped, and I will see you guys next time.